got Kenny as an example, and I think for a rookie like Will to come in and be able to see some guys and know how they work and see how they work is awesome. So I like how the room's developing. Long way to go, of course, but I like what we're starting.
We've seen so many passes to the back so far in camp. Do you think that's going to be a bigger part of the offense this year?
It can be. I mean, it really depends. I mean, I think sometimes you get into camp and you're throwing the ball, but a lot of it's going to depend on what the defense is giving us. We, as running backs, have to be prepared for every situation. And I think catching the ball and being a receiving threat out of the backfield, even in empty, is extremely, extremely important for the room. So when we add all those pieces together, it gives us a chance to be very multiple, and it gives the defense a little bit tougher look that they get. So can it be? Yes, absolutely. Maybe. We're not sure. We'll kind of have to wait and see.
You guys had a really good running game with Miles and Swift. What does Saquon maybe do to just take it to another level?
Well, you look at three really different players if you look at it. I think you look at kind of DeAndre Swift's kind of his style of running and movement, and even Miles. I think Saquon just brings a different version of it. He's a little bit bigger, has a little bit more size to it, so it's a good thing. But the guy has done a lot of great things already, and I think it's going to be exciting just to see what he can do now with the ball in his hands here in our system with what we've got kind of surrounding him as well. Just gives us another opportunity to maybe push that run game a step further.
How much are you hoping for him to help yards after contact? The numbers were not especially good last year.
Yeah, and I think sometimes that's a little bit of a misnomer. If a guy makes a guy miss and he doesn't touch him and gains more yards, in my mind, that's it, it's yards after contact. I think there's two ways to break a tackle. It's running through it, breaking it, and then there's making it miss totally. So different style runner. Bigger guy, stronger guy, you expect to see him break some more tackles. And I think just by the inherent nature of that, we should see that go up. Maybe he leans forward. And I think just our room, we've got some thick, strong guys that are in the room that's going to allow us to fall forward.
Real quick to follow up on the leaning forward, Saquon being back for so long, the way he runs, it almost seems like there have been times when he would tip over and is that something that's inherent in him, in falling forward and running forward, or something different about something that he does in that regard versus other running backs?
No, I think it's a great skill set that he has, and it's that forward lean and understanding. You mentioned about down by the end zone, the goal line. Well, yeah, that's where you want it the most, is a little bit of lean. I think you look at some of Kenny, how he runs, he's got that natural forward lean. And you're talking basic physics. When you get your shoulders low and your speed and you're moving in that direction, it allows you to gain those extra yards after contact, those extra yards kind of falling through a tackle to where you're always falling forward. Like I said, drop those shoulders down and go. He's got a great ability to be able to do that.
First day in pads, what did you see in terms of physicality, and what did you like about this second?
Good. I think for me, and this is one of my favorite days of the year ever. I mean, I don't care what level you're at. When you get a chance to put the pads on, it's fun. And I like it because it allows us to really own in on a couple different skills. For me, one of the biggest things that we got to do today was go against our linebackers in a full speed pass protection rep. That's the first time I've been able to do that with this room, right? This entire year. So being able to do that and see the guys getting physical and then be able to get in there and get in the tape and then just work on the fundamentals, it's great stuff. And you get to see what a guy can do when there's a little bit of clack that goes on. So love this day. Great for our guys just to get that first experience. It's day one. And we can move on the next time we put on pads, get even better, and keep growing.
Are you expecting less of a rotation this year?
I don't know. I think you got Saquon. He's got some skills, but Kenny's done some really good things. I mean, Shipley's doing some good things coming on, and it's trying to get the feel to how it goes. A lot of it's going to depend on how the game plays out and those goes. But Saquon is, with just his size and strength and all that. You look at what he's capable of doing. You're going to get some guys on the field that can do the best they can do to help this team win. Obviously, he can do a lot of things in a lot of different places. So we'll kind of see how it goes as we get rolling through. We're getting a feel in camp as we're kind of rolling, and I think you're seeing a blend of the three players that we've had rolling kind of with the early guys, and then we've got three other players kind of behind them, and we're going to kind of see them develop and see where they kind of fit.
Well, what are some of the other differences that you noticed can go in how he values the position and Charlotte trying to do?
Well, I think the running back position's kind of been valued here. You look at the last few years, what we've done in the rushing game and all that. So, Kellen just has a different way of using it and utilizing it. It's a slightly different scheme when we talk about motions and movements, and it's a little bit of what I kind of started with in my career in the NFL. Was kind of a little bit West Coast and with a different mix-up when you talk about your motions and your protections and those type of things. So I think it's great. I think Kellen's just getting balls to good players, and we're doing that through the receiver core, through the backs, through the tight ends, and we're just trying to highlight those players that can make some plays for us.
What did you like about Will in the draft?
Will did some really good things, I think, Clemson and in college. And I'm always kind of the intangible stuff, looking at the tape. But, I got a chance to work him out in a private workout and just get to meet him. And I thought his personality, I thought just the reverence that everyone in the building at Clemson had for him. I have some close friends that are on staff there that couldn't speak anything but great things about him on a whole nother level. So I just think his work ethic, his leadership ability, all those things are what help him now. It's the football stuff as he continues to grow and gets better. But he's got some of those intangibles that I think are very important at this level.
Where were you and what was your reaction when you guys signed Saquon?
I was very excited. I mean, obviously, very excited whenever you get a good player. It was kind of a roller coaster for me. I think, DeAndre signed early. I think he's one of the first backs off the board. So, I'm kind of looking at the room, and we don't have a whole lot of guys in the room in the roster. And then we go from that, and then Saquon gets signed. And, I'm a running back coach. I've been looking at running backs and evaluating running backs my whole career, played the position in college, those type of things. So I know all the running backs in the league. I've probably even evaluated them coming out of college or that. And he was a guy that obviously I've had very high on my list since the first time I ever evaluated him. And, I just was excited, jumping around, just those type of things of, hey, I'm now Saquon Barkley's running back coach, which is a cool thing. And hopefully I can help him take another step and maybe achieve something he hasn't done in his career yet.
Do your personal evaluations of running backs kind of lead to a natural ranking across the league, or how does that work?
To a certain extent. I mean, you really, each year you only look at those guys that may be available, so guys that are in contract. So the pool is different every year that you're looking at, and then obviously those guys coming out of college. But yeah, Saquon is a guy that I've had very high in my evaluations from when he came out of college to when he had a chance for free agency, those type of things. He's one of those players that you want to get a chance to coach.
Jamal, you guys will have your public practice at the stadium on Thursday. It'll be Saquon's first chance to be introduced to the Link crowd. How do you think that's going to go?
I think it's going to go awesome, to be honest with you. I mean, for him, he's not too far from here where he grew up and those type of things, and him to come back to come to Philly and be a part of what we're doing. He's a great guy. I think he's going to endear himself to fans. That's his personality. I think the fans are going to see that he's going to work. He's going to do what Philly wants their players to do. He's going to work his butt off. He's going to compete. He's going to do all those hard things he can. And I think they're going to fall in love with him just like I think every other fan base does.
Hey, Jamal, what sense of personal pride do you have in seeing back-to-back 1,000-yard rushers, different guys, and then both guys go on and get paid?
I think at the end, and I tell my guys, one of my first meetings I ever have with the players is that I truly feel that my job here is to help them become the best version of themselves. And that's it. It's like, what can I do to help this person get maybe 1% better? Evaluating their tape. Okay, what's something that maybe I can coach slightly differently or do something that can help them? And again, for me, there's so many things involved. It's how he's involved because he got the player in the room. It's our offensive line because their work. It's the person himself, the player doing that. So obviously, it's good. It makes me feel well when I get a player that can go on and get paid. Now, I'd like to have them stay around when I can. You feel like you build that work and that relationship. But no, at the end of the day, if I can help a young man that's in this league get better at the position they're playing, then that's all I want.
What is it about the West Coast that has been so effective in getting running backs involved in the passing game, going all the way back to obviously the 49ers of the 80s?
Yeah, I think a lot of that too, and not to get into a whole history lesson, but I mean, it's some of the quarterbacks that played in that system, just how they progress and how they work and checking it down, those type of things. It's just a natural part of the progression. Just the system has always been established, or maybe 1, 2, 3, and boom, the back is the third. Hey, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hey, the back is the fourth, or hey, the back is number 1. So there's just some common, reads that they'll do where the back is built into the route complement and the route combination, and it's kind of been an emphasis of it. And like I said, the type of players, you look at the type of backs that have played in that system over the years, they lend themselves to a little bit of a receiver skill set and all that type of stuff. So just totally different system and different way of kind of doing it. I just think the inherent nature of how it is played out in those progressions, it gets the back an opportunity to get the ball.
And in moving players around in motion and such, with Saquon specifically, like finding matchups for him, what attention does he demand differently whenever you can line him as a receiver?
Yeah, for sure. I think anytime, and that's kind of what we're going back to what we talked about earlier, is our backs being able to do multiple things. It allows that. Right, lines up in the backfield. He's a threat as a runner, but he's also a threat as a receiver. He lines up in empty, threat as a receiver. And you start to look at, just like you said, those matchups. How do we get our players matched up where we may have the advantage. And I think anytime you can have a player that can do multiple things and potentially multiple roles, that's a good thing to have.
Jamal, one of the things Nick said the other day was about how he's not just coaching the players, but he's also coaching the coaches as part of this role. How has his new role and being more available, has it impacted things? What have you seen?
I think so. I mean, I'm a military guy. So we in a military system, you have a rank structure. You have a chain of command, and it kind of works. And you have your generals, and your generals are responsible for certain things. And I think this is where he's taken on that role a little bit more, where it's a general. The general has to have an entire broad view of everything. Not that he hasn't in the past, but now he's really dialed in and focused on both of that. Morale of players, understanding those things, being in different position meeting rooms and getting a chance, being available to coaches when you need it, and just looking at a little bit different picture where now maybe his focus was a little bit tighter. Now it's wide range, and you talk about, I think he's got an opportunity to do some great things as a leader because he already has, and now he's just basically making those leadership things grow and spread them out even more. So we talk about building relationships. Well, when you're that way, you can build more relationships when you're sitting in the D-line room and you get to laugh and joke with them. Where you sit in the receiver room, you can have those discussions, right? You can sit there and really prepare for your team meetings. It's just, for me, I'm old school a little bit. Like, that's the nature of it. You have a head coach who is the head coach of the entire team. You have offensive and defensive guys, but the head coach is kind of involved in everything, kind of making it roll. And I think this is it could be a good thing for us.
I asked Nick in the spring about the third receiver, and he answered it might not be a third receiver, it could be a second back, for instance, right? What do you know, or I shouldn't say what do you know, the message in the room about 22 personnel and for Kenny and Will in particular to play with Saquon, what do you tell them?
I coach the running backs,
yeah.
So anything that allows more of my players to be on the field excites me, right? That's part of it. So I think it is. It's just, what are some of those personnel groups that you could be more multiple? And I keep going back to that word, but that's the piece. It's like, how can we be multiple? And how can we start with something that looks the same, but it's really entirely different? And I think when you have backs that can run routes, when you have backs that are great runners, when you have backs that can protect, when you have all those pieces, it does allow you to manipulate something. How is a team going to respond when you have two backs on the field? Well, one time he lined up in the slot, one time he lined up in the backfield, right? And it's run, so you have to match that up a little bit. And I think it allows us to be multiple. And I'll continue saying that. We can't say we're this, we're that. No, they can do a lot of different things because of the skill sets that we have.
Jalen obviously, as a +1 factor, really helped the running game. Last year, those numbers were down. How does that affect the running backs and their production when Jalen is a guy that they have to worry about whether he's going to tuck it and keep it on those RPOs or those zone reads?
Yeah, I think it's like you said, it's a +1. They have to account for him in the back, and and even if they're not accounting for him as much, it still allows us to do some things. So I think when you look at the backfield, it's great. We got another guy in here who can really control one defender, because if they don't cover him, he can pull it and run, and gives you that ability. So no, I think you've seen it here. We've been able to run the football pretty effectively over a period of time, and a lot of that is because we do have a quarterback that's mobile and can move. We do have some good backs. We do have a really good alignment and those type of things. So him being in the backfield definitely does that, and every carry he adds to running game as well.
Thanks, Jamal.
Yeah, appreciate it. Bigger media market, a whole lot of stuff going on.
For sure.
What's the training camp experience been like for you? So
This is dope. This is cool. Everybody around, you always see pictures like this. But really just embracing it. The reason why it took me a little minute to get over here is just because I had my first practice with the Eagles, and the Eagle kind of just letting it sink in. So I wanted to sit back and just see everything. But on top of that, just like the attention to detail, I feel like I made a huge step today, just learning how to play at this level. It's my first time actually seeing everybody move in pads, seeing everybody move, learning the scheme and how I work within it. It was just a dope experience.
what kind of things have you picked up, like in your short time you've been here from when you first started?
Hands. I got to use my hands. I used to be a little bit of a head hunter, just going in with my head, going in with my pass is how I learned to play football. That's why I'm physical. But if I want to have a long career, I'm learning that if I'm watching the people I would like to pattern my game after, and if I want to be in the league as long as BG's a genius with using his hands. So that's something I'm really putting a lot of time and extra work into.
Have you had that moment where you're going against Lane or Jordan and it's just you realize that, hey, geez, this is the NFL?
Oh yeah. Lane strapped me up today. A little hit throw by. Was not expecting it. I should have known. I thought I'd beat Lane on the outside. Did not beat Lane at all. But yeah, that was just one of the moments for sure.
And on the flip side, has there been a time when you've been like, oh, I belong here?
Yeah. That's when I got here. Just how I was welcomed into the locker room. I have a great room, so they said, hey, like the coaches bought into you, the Eagles bought into you. You're here for a reason. So they never made it seem like I didn't belong here. So when I stepped on the field, it was kind of just like, yeah, I appreciate y'all for doing that for me.
Getting in shape. Football, I think, is the hardest. To get in football shape is different. We can run all day when I'm at home. I mean, you take me in the parking lot, I'll run up and down the parking lot all day. But you get on the field, it's a lot different, you know. So getting in football shape is probably the toughest thing that we're, you know, all trying to do. Also with, you know, new playbook and everything, it's a lot thrown at you. So, you know, a lot of preparation has to go into that.
What have you learned the most being around A.J. Brown and Devontae all the time and seeing them work every single day?
Man, that to be a dog, you got to be a dog every day. And they do everything that they're supposed to do every single day. You know, that's the biggest thing I learned from them, you know, is not that I didn't know how to be a pro, but those are two pros right there who do the same thing every day. They have a routine, and once you start to do things like that, you kind of fall right in the line on how to be good and fall into the system.
John, Nick said yesterday this is as deep a receiver room as he's seen. He said each player brings something different.
Absolutely.
What do you think you bring to this offense?
I think it's all obvious. Speed, a speed component. Also with, you know, Paris Campbell. I think we bring a speed component to this offense. Not that AJ and Devontae don't bring a speed component, but I think that we just add that addition to it, you know, with the greatness that those two already do, you know, which can always be added to any offense. So.
I know,
No.
training camp can be really tough. Did you get all the football back being here?
Before I even got here, in the spring, I realized this is probably what I'm missing in my life, you know, the most. And I appreciate every day. Every day I come to work, you know, I like I said, I missed it. You know, being away and just, we were talking about it yesterday, just being with the guys in the locker room is probably the biggest thing. You know, that's what I miss more than being on the field a little bit, is just being the camaraderie, just being around the guys. And, you know, this feels like a family every single day I come in this building.
It's a similar sentiment to what Paris Campbell had, and I know he wasn't the first round pick, he was a second round pick. Is that a conversation the two of you have had?
No, we don't really talk about those things, you know. We talk about, you know, either what's going on the field as far as like helping each other out, getting acclimated in the playbook and stuff like that, or like a lot of us yesterday were talking about our kids, and some of them talking about their wives and stuff. Like, you know, that's what we talk about. We try to keep it. We don't want to be 100% football all the time. We try to keep that brotherhood different, but we definitely have a different kind of bond for sure.
Is your son checking on you every day?
Every single day. Yeah, it's funny. They had they had Hell Week last week, and they started pads yesterday as well. So, you know, he's like, how did you do? You know, it's just super funny to me. I actually got some videos this morning of him at practice yesterday doing some hitting drills and stuff like that, and he's loving it. So it's definitely motivating me.
Your family's back home where?
In California.
Mm-hmm.
How
old is he?
He's in second grade. 7 years old.
The distance during this time is tough, but obviously technology makes it
100%.
so you're able to be
100%.
What's that process?
It's funny. I was just telling my dad about this. My son's at that age where he's like, he knows everything, and he has his friends now. So our calls are like 3 minutes. It's like, how you doing? How's football? Good. Are we done? I'm like, oh, okay. But it's always funny to me, and I love it, man. Like I said, it could be 20 seconds. I love every second I get to talk to him, and he's loving to hear just as much as I'm loving to hear how he's doing.
How did it come about working out with Jalen this summer?
Well, I know I needed to get some time with him, you know, just because I hadn't been here, and I think I was only here for like 2.5 weeks, I think, for spring. So we didn't get that much time, and usually when quarterbacks throw with a lot of guys and on the team and stuff like that, and I didn't make every single trip because I'm all the way on the West Coast, you know. So once we talked about it, I got a chance. I told him, you know, whenever you need me, just let me know. I'll be there. And I got a chance to go out there and we threw.
Have you seen that benefit this summer?
Yeah, definitely. As soon as I left, I'm like, he's a real deal, you know. So it was good that we got that time, and I was happy to be able to do that.
What do you see with the defense? What happens when you put Saquon in motion, or you in motion, or all the talent that you have? I saw the one play with Saquon in motion. It's like the whole defense goes over there. How effective is this motion going to be?
I think real effective. But I think without the motion, you see 26 running on that field, you got a problem regardless if he's standing still or moving around, you know. So I think that's the biggest thing you take away from that is that man is so talented and so good. And I play with Saquon in New York too, so I got to see it every day at practice there, and I get to see it here. And been truly amazing, honestly.
What's the most impressive thing about him?
The new kickoff rules? Your first reaction to seeing them is what? And then watching them on tape, what's that been like?
The new kickoff rules?
Yeah.
Well, I thought it was. I think it's pretty cool that they can change it and make things different. It's going to be interesting to see how well the returners do, because I think it's definitely new to us. It's new to everybody, but it's completely different than how it's been. So just to be able to get it and pause and wait for guys to block. It's early blocking. It's going to be a big difference, you know. And I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to be a part of it as well.
Isn't any thought to like who has the advantage in that scenario? Like, is it the returner? Is it the team covering? Because obviously they move up, and theoretically the kicker could kick it just higher and make you wait. And now all of a sudden you're a target. On the other hand, you're going to return more, right?
I think it's one of those things we just gotta wait to find out. You know, I'm not sure if we can, because even if we watch the film on, you know, in the other league, it's hard to identify because we've never done it before. You know, so I think it's just one of those things we gotta all experience. But I can tell you what, everybody's excited because it's different, and change isn't always bad. So we'll see.
It's a competitive group. Has anyone tried to race you?
No, but I heard Isaiah said something in the media, so it was something funny about that. So I walked up to him a couple days ago and I was like, "Me and you, 50,000 for charity," and he's like, "When you want to do it?" so it's always fun. But after a few days, you know, guys are coming up to me like, "You still got it," you know what I'm saying? So, you know, I think me and Isaiah, one of those days, we'll probably handle that.
As a serious follow-up to that, though, so much of the emphasis on your lanes are deep speed. Like in one-on-ones today, you're to play across the middle. Do you think that part of your game is something that either gets overlooked or that you refined over the years?
I wouldn't say it gets overlooked. I got to be available, you know, and I haven't been. So I think that's one of those things where I play 16 games. I practice all fall, all spring. I get to show that, you know. So that's one of those things that I'm working on. So I think it all falls on me. It has nothing to do with what anybody else thinks. I just think I need to be available to show you guys.
You may have answered this already, but like, what have you noticed from Quinyon inside as a corner?
Great length, great speed, very quiet, but good dude. But I like the way he can move. He can either put his hands on you, and he's been doing a real good job. Even in one-on-ones, going against AJ, I've been paying attention and being observant of that. I think he's going to be real good. And I noticed that from the spring, just his athleticism and the way he can move, and his speed is real sneaky, you know, and I think that's something that can't get overlooked.
Being around AJ and Devontae the last few months, what have you learned about them the most, kind of seeing them in person that kind of makes them what they are?
I told AJ today, and I told him in the spring, I said, you probably don't remember me telling you this, but I don't think nobody can learn from AJ. Because I look at him like a Terrell Owens, like a guy who he's one of one. Like, it's just, you can't replicate that. Just the things that he can do, because he's not like the super tallest guy, he's not the super fastest guy, but he'll run by you, he'll jump over you, and he's big enough to move you around, and he'll catch everything. So it's something that it's a blessing to be able to see every day. And Devontae's so smooth, he's like one of those, like a smooth criminal, they say, you know. He's one of those dudes, his game is just so fluid. It's a blessing to see, man. Honestly, I can sit here and talk about those two guys all day. But I love watching those two work, and they're very helpful. And this is a great group to be around.
Did you learn that by asking AJ a question, and then they're like, "Yeah, that doesn't."
No, just watching them, because I watch a lot of guys. I always watch guys all the time, you know, just from when I was a kid, and just, you know, trying to learn from guys and this and that. And I watch AJ, and I'm like, I'm not gonna learn nothing from that. You know, he's just one of those guys. You know, and I tell him that all the time, and we all know it. You know, you guys see it every single day. Even in the spring, he came out here and worked every single day. That was something I'd never seen before. For a guy to make the money that he makes, and not that it's about the money, but he was out here every single day. And he worked every day. I've never heard him complain about anything, and I'm just grateful to be in this room.
Got time for one more?
Cool.
Thanks, John.